What I'm going to be showing you how to do today is how to make a leather bow tie. And you have a good bow tie. Hello, my name is Joe Easton, and I have been working in leather and sewing leather for 7 decades now. My grandparents taught me the art of sewing and working in leather crafts at an early age, and I've continued on with that my whole life. You are going to need 3 different pieces of leather cut out for this, and they are a 2 by 22 inch for the neck piece. You can actually have that shorter than 22 inches, but you need to overlap by approximately 4 inches in length. The other part, for the bow itself, you'll need a 12 by 6. And for the fastener between the neck strap and the bow, you'll need a piece of leather that is 2 by 6 inches. Here are the tools that you're going to need for making this. I start out with a flat surface. I'm using my cutting table and a cutting board on top of it. This you can cut on with a rotary cutter or a knife or an X-Acto knife or a skiver knife, and it won't cut the board or the tabletop will ruin that. You can also use your kitchen table countertops or things like that. The other things you will need include a ruler, either a rotary cutter or scissors, plain old Elmer's glue, or double-sided tape, whichever is your preference. Now this is a quilter's ruler. It is clear plastic and you can see through it, and the markings are on the bottom. The difference between the rotary cutter and the scissors is that as you lift the material up, after you've marked it with either pen, chalk, or some other marking material, is that you change the shape of the leather, and it will not be as true as when it is laying flat. And that's why I prefer the rotary cutter to the scissors. There are many old school people who still prefer the scissors. This is one of your more valuable tools that you're going to be using quite frequently in leather making. It's a 6-hole punch. It punches holes in leather in 6 different sizes, and you will be using this a lot. It is used to make the holes so that you can put your snaps, rivets, and eyelets in. And this is a press that you can use that, with the various dies that it has, can set your snaps, rivets, and eyelets in your leather for holding the leather pieces together, making eyelets, or providing snaps. And those are the tools we'll need to get started. I'll also need the sewing machine with threads that match the leather that you're using, or that do a high contrast if you want the high contrast thread. So I line it up to see that this edge is straight, because a previous cut may not have been straight. It is straight, so I lay it down, hold it down with my hand, and quickly use the edge of the rotary cutter to make my pass. Sometimes it doesn't quite. And true up my squareness like that. So here's the cut for the second piece, which is a 2 by 6 piece. And that is 2 of our pieces. Now for the last piece is a 12 by 6, And as you can see, we can't get it from the very neck, so we have to move it down a little bit to get it all in. And I have my ruler in place, and at the 12 mark, please note, I put my safety back on every time I use it and take it off only when I'm cutting. Now we have our 3 parts for sewing. The next step that we are going to do is to either glue up or tape up the neck piece and the connector and the tie, the bow. One way to do it is take an ordinary glue stick. This is kids' type of glue stick that you can get either at any office supply house. And you fold your leather into thirds lengthwise, like that. The other way of doing it is to use the tape method and lay the tape on top of the leather, and you use your thumb, the back of your thumb or other finger, to make sure that it has adhered tightly to the leather. And this is double-sided tape. I don't have a crew like Eleanor Burns. I can't throw it over my shoulder. When you find that you've made a mistake or it's rolling wrong for you, you undo it. That's the nice thing about both tape and glue, is you're not in your final you're not committed 100%. You can correct errors. Those 2 are done, and this one, you take the bow part and you fold it over to the halfway line like this, and then meet it like this, and then meet it in the middle again. Like that. Now this isn't going to hold until you sew it, but you get the basic idea there. When you are sewing this connector, you put the edge down and have the folded section or the middle up, and you're going to sew over the middle. I am using a 1/8 inch seam allowance. I lock my stitches at the very beginning, and allow the machine to sew at its own rate Do not try to go fast at first unless you're doing hundreds of these. And then you turn it around and go and do the other side. Do this for both the connector and the neck piece. You can chain stitch if you want. Which I frequently do when making lots of leather items. So you fold this piece of the bow together, place the line of the fold in the middle, and lift the foot up so that it's on there. Now here's where your machine can get temperamental on you. My machine did not like that, and the foot came loose. Fold it once more. Let's get it on. There we go. Now I have to change the stitch that I'm doing to another stitch so that it'll catch both sides of this split. And it's a zigzag, an extra wide one. It does not like the glue or the edge of the material being so thick. And I ran out of thread. Okay. That's a stop. Good. The next thing that you do is you fold in the middle and fold it back, making an M-type cut or fold on it. Hold the back up and then wrap tightly the connector and see how far you have to overlap. On this, we're going to be able to take off about 1.5 inches of it. So I marked there the two ends where they're overlapping. Next step is to sew if you can. This machine won't do it because it's too many layers of leather. So I'm going to have to use something else like a snap setter and put a small snap and or a rivet into there to hold that together. You want to set your hole punch in a position where it will go easily through all the layers of leather and press firmly. You don't always make it through on the first try, and wiggling does help. When you lift, you'll be able to look through and see that you've made it all the way through. Next, you will set your first set of snaps on one end of your neck piece. You want to be at least a ½ inch in and an inch apart on each of your 3 snaps that you're going to be setting. So one, some people go ahead and pre-mark. Don't always need that. That gives you 3 holes, and it will fit a variety of sizes. You will then have to take and put your snap in place and make sure that what is called the throat goes through the leather in both pieces. And this one barely makes it through for the 6 layers. And then your other piece will go, oh, I already have one there. You center everything, because if it's off center, it's not going to set right and you'll have to take it out. And carefully bring this down and put your weight behind it. And it is set. That looks easy. Put the female part in there, male part there. One more time. And there you have your 3 snaps set. You don't do the other side until you've got the full assembly done and you've assembled all 3 parts. Now, you take your bow, again you form your, and you try and get it through, and it never goes easy. You bring your connector down to where it Now the really hard part. Now you need to measure on the person how it's going to fit for the individual person. We already have the top snaps. Now we just need to measure how far over it's going to go to get all 3 snaps and have them wince, and it makes a bigger neck, and you figure out how much has to be cut off. And on this one, right there, take your 3 snaps. Again, you measure from a 1/2 inch, press down heavy, and let the snaps make the imprint of where you want to. So you see the dull imprint on the leather, and while that lasts, you make your holes. With your hole punch, and you're ready to do your last snaps. Take your bow tie as it's fully assembled and make sure that you're going to be attaching the second set of snaps in the correct direction so you don't have to twist your neckband. And insert one in the correct way. And follow suit for the others so that they are also in the correct way. You don't want your snaps going in opposite directions on every other one. These dies do sometimes cause problems, but it's much better than the handset dies. These now snap into place and will hold. You can center it, and your bow tie is all set. You may want to do some final forming by molding it a little bit with your fingers to get more interest in the tie. And you may want to form or move your connector piece a little bit to show better, and you have a good bow tie. Thank you for watching my video. If you've enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, and share with your friends. For more information about leatherworking tools and tips, they are available on my website at joeeastonleathers.com. Wear your leathers in good pleasure.